Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So, just recently, unfortunately, the ex-wife of Russell Simmons, Kimora Lee Simmons, took to the internet along with her daughter, Ming Lee Simmons, to express how they had to come out and basically expose Russell Simmons for being the person that he's been all this time. Now, let's go back a little bit. Back in the day, and well, first of all, before they got married officially, I found it kind of odd that they first met when she was like 16, if I'm not mistaken, because in one of the videos that she released just recently, just the other day, she was talking about how she had met him when she was modeling. I believe it was back in St. Louis, Missouri, when, like I said, she was like 16 years old. He was like 33 or 35, if I'm not mistaken. So, like I said, I found it kind of odd that that was the first time that they had met each other, and I think that that was, that first meeting kind of took off on how they got to know each other and eventually when they got married. But that's another dead horse that I've been talking about, that I've been beating. These men in Hollywood messing around with these younger women, how it usually leads to nothing good. Like, the intentions are never in the right place, which is obvious. But like I said, we're just going to move on from that soapbox. They were married for 11 years, and I do believe during that time, a lot of people used them as like the black template, even though he's black and she's Asian. But they used him sort of as like the black template of a successful black man in a relationship, etc., because from what I can remember or from what I know, there wasn't anything bad about him out in the media at that time. He was known for, the rush card, all that kind of stuff. Then later on, like I said, they got a divorce, and then all these, allegations about him came out. Allegations, allegedly, that he had SA'd some women, allegedly. X amount of women came out and made these allegations, and he left the country and went to Bali. Now, what bothers me about that is, okay, well, if you're innocent and you didn't do anything wrong, why in the world are you fleeing the country? And I feel like when he did that, not only did he make himself look guilty, but it also threw a wrench in his business. And I think it was at that point, like I said, his business started to go to the trash and he started losing money, and he's not in the place that he was in the past where his money, his finances, his business is concerned. On top of that, he made allegations that this business that he went into with Kimora Lee Simmons and her husband, I believe that they are still in a relationship. They're still married. Her husband, Tim, who allegedly got involved in some really shady financial business, bad decisions, I guess, or just things he wasn't supposed to be doing. Russell Simmons alleged that they stole money from him and allegedly had something to do with some kind of shares of the company that they may have sold without his knowledge, that they didn't have his permission to do so. And there's this huge legal issue that went down. He's suffering his own legal issues, Mr. Tim, and he allegedly, Russell Simmons, took Kimora Lee Simmons to court, but the courts threw out the case. So that was money down the drain that he wasted trying to get money back that he's alleging that she stole from him. So like I said, financially, he's not doing well, allegedly. And on top of that, you can, assume, nobody has to take a guess, but you can assume that he doesn't have the best feelings towards Kimora Lee Simmons because of all of this. Now, I mentioned all that because I want y'all to keep this in mind. So all of this has gone on, and we've led up to this point now. Just this past Father's Day, he has two daughters. One of his daughters, who's this young lady on the left by the name of Ming Lee Simmons, took to the internet and posted one picture, which she had the right to post. But it seemed like after that, everything kind of just blew up. I believe it was her Instagram stories where she posted this picture of her mother, Kimora, and she posted Happy Father's Day. Now, if you don't understand what that's trying to say, because some people will try to be slick, like, what she's basically trying to say is, mama was the mama and the daddy for a while, apparently. And she's giving the props to her mother for doing the job of the mother and the father. Like I said, this is the picture allegedly after which everything blew up. Now, allegedly, he took this picture and posted it to his social media account after that. And I feel like without a lot of context or knowing the background of what went on between them, people would take this and they would run with it and they would side with him, which is why I believe that she and her daughter came out and made those videos that they made, because I do honestly believe, and you can kind of hear it in what she was saying if you read between the lines and actually listen to what Kimora Lee Simmons was saying in the video that she made, that I feel like people were harassing her and talking about her and blaming her for what happened. I believe that they blamed her for, her children not having a good relationship with Russell Simmons. I think that they were calling these children ungrateful, because that's something that her daughter, Ming Lee, said, that they were basically trying to make her seem like she was just some ungrateful brat that was just mad because she couldn't get what she wanted. But, I felt like it was unfair. Like I said, after they exposed him and what he was doing, I felt like it was very morbidly unfair of him to make that post, especially if he is the reason why they don't want to be around him or have him in their life. As I've said in my videos many times before, I don't usually include videos because they're very disturbing. And I did see the video of Kimora Simmons speaking her piece and her daughter Ming saying what she had to say. And it was very heartbreaking, I'm going to be honest. Watching her talk about the years that she has had to endure with this dude, doing the stuff that he's done to her and her children behind closed doors. Like, it's one thing to do something to your wife. Like, that's already awful. But the kids, come on now. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, especially I feel like in the black community, and I always, make this saying, black community issues, we don't believe people when they come out and they talk about this stuff. Like, they don't want to believe that this could have happened. You know what I'm saying? And I'm quite frankly not surprised. Like, a lot of people were, because like I said in the beginning of the video, people put him on a pedestal and made him out to be this mogul businessman that was like the template for, black excellence and success. And I do believe for a while he was successful until he started making bad decisions and doing stuff he ain't had no business doing, allegedly. But like I said, there's a lot of people, like, y'all would be shocked to know how much this kind of stuff actually goes on. Like I said, how she was talking about how he was narcissistic and abusive behind closed doors. There was a lot that she had to endure and she couldn't tell anybody about. That people are just now seeing him for who he really is and has been for years. Y'all would be shocked to know how much that actually happens in real life. How many people who are in relationships with people, how many people who are married to an individual that is abusive, controlling, disrespectful, narcissistic, who has been abusing them behind closed doors, but has everybody else fooled into thinking that they're this person that they are not. And it's a form of control because that person can't just go out and say, hey, this person is doing XYZ to me, because again, of how they have fooled people over the years and this facade of a good person that they have put out and had people believe. So essentially, like, they're screwed if they say something and they're screwed if they don't. And unfortunately, Kimora Simmons is in the same position. I do believe that there are people who told her, oh no, you crazy, that ain't Russell Simmons, you just want his money or whatever. And a lot of the reason why is because of what I've been saying all this time. People put these celebrities on a pedestal because they're rich, because they're famous, because they're celebrities. But again, these people, the only difference between them and regular people are that they have money and fame, which brings out a person's true nature. And if they don't have any kind of self-control or respect for other people, empathy, or, they are toxic people with the money and fame, they will only be more of that. But anyways, like I said, she came out and she exposed him for the toxic, narcissistic, abusive, allegedly, person that he apparently and allegedly has always been. The reason why it's exploding now is because all these years it's finally come to that point. And it's really sad, like I said, seeing how that she had to get on the internet and make that video and try to explain to people and tell them to leave her and her children alone, telling him to leave her and her children alone. That was just sad. And seeing her daughter crying on the internet talking about, y'all think that he's one way, but to all the rest of us, he's awful, he's abusive, he says stuff to me and to my mom that's not right. And she had receipts. She had text messages that he had sent her where he was calling her mother the B word. She talked about how he called her mother the C word. I'm not going to say it on here. That's just disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And she was saying, like, don't call my mother that. Like, that's not something I should ever have to hear coming out of my father's mouth about my mother. Talking about how her mother stole money from him. And she was trying to tell him, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You're mad I can't have a regular conversation with you without you traumatizing me, disrespecting me, and disrespecting my mother over some stuff that you got involved with somebody else. She also talked about how he faked having the C-19, all so that he could get another chance after they probably stopped talking to him, to basically cuss her mother out to her face again. And it was really heartbroken listening to her talk about this. And she also talked about how during all this, y'all, she was going through college at Harvard. Could y'all imagine having to deal with a father like that while you're in college? That ain't easy, in case you didn't know, okay? It ain't easy. But she still persevered, and I believe her mother, backed her up and encouraged her, and she graduated. She had just graduated. So meanwhile, she's been going through hell while trying to still be successful in her life apart from him. Because also, in the video, she mentioned that she was on a trip somewhere, and he basically cut her off mid-trip. He didn't even have the decency to call her and tell her, oh, by the way, I'm cutting you off starting like right now. She had to find out by basically being told, your card is declined, which is a slap in the face and embarrassing. She even mentioned that the interactions between her and him had gotten so bad that she had anxiety issues, almost to the point where, if I'm remembering correctly, allegedly, that she had to go to the hospital. Okay, he was sending his own daughter, allegedly, to the hospital because of how bad he was acting towards her. And there was a video that she recorded, because she said that she was taking all kinds of pictures and, video recording him on FaceTime with her, screaming at her. The audio was cut, but you can look at him. He was screaming so hard at that girl that it looked like he was about to bust a vein. Okay, and the look on her face, in the camera of her, was just, it was sad. It was heartbreaking. Like, there's no reason for you to have that kind of attitude with your own daughter. There is no justification, nor excuse, nor will there ever be any, to have that kind of attitude, disrespect, and aggression with your own daughter. Now, somebody had said along the way that they felt like he was possibly having some, health issues, allegedly, or that he might have been suffering from some kind of mental issue, some kind of like dementia or whatever, that he is ill mentally and that's why he is behaving like this. And maybe that is so. I don't know. Allegedly, like I said. But we're not going to use that to justify, like I said, nor excuse his behavior, because people will go out of their way to be heinous and then hide behind a medical condition. And this is all while there are people out there suffering for real from that kind of stuff and not acting like this. But anyways, like I said, this seems like a very familiar situation. There are a lot of families, and like I said before, y'all would be disgusted to know how often women do go through this kind of stuff in their married relationships, where some of these men behind closed doors are actually very abusive, but they put on these good men facades, and their wives and their children suffer in silence for years. And when they do come out, people don't believe them, people gaslight them, and it just makes everything worse for the wife and the kids. And that really breaks my heart for women like Kimora Simmons and her daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like, so imagine if she's going through this and she is very famous, she has a lot of money. Imagine the hell that women who are just everyday women, black women, go through. It's even worse. And the part that bothered me the most was how he treated, like I said, I'm not minimalizing what he did to his wife, because he was, if all the allegations are true, he's garbage for that. But what he did to his daughters, especially Ming, you know what I'm saying? Like I said before on this channel, I get really triggered when people hurt children. And I know she's not a child, if I'm not mistaken, she's like 21. But she's gone through this, allegedly for some years now. But it bothers me when people do bad things or abusive things to children, even their own children. But it bothered me and triggered me the most when she was talking about how he cut her off. Like how he said that he, according to Kimora, said that he would ruin her and her sister. So it's like almost like he's angry because he's losing everything now because of the decisions that he has made. Okay, he's got to take some accountability for the things that he's done. But because it's all falling apart for him, he's taking it out on her. And he pulled the stereotypical abusive parent move, cutting his kids off. I don't know why people, especially black people, can't understand this, but as a parent, you are responsible for your child. You have a spiritual and a moral duty to help them. I'm not saying the stereotypical example that people love to gaslight people with. Have your kid 35 and up, still living in your basement, playing video games, not doing anything with their life. That's not what I'm saying. But you, like I said, have a moral and spiritual obligation and duty to help your kids. I've said this before 1,000 times, which just don't really apply to them, but the cost of living is through the roof. If you can at least provide your child with a place to stay while they try to figure it out or work or until they can get a roommate, y'all can't get along and be together, be around each other because y'all are family, something is wrong somewhere. And people are real quick to blame the kids, but a lot of times it's the parents being toxic and abusive. It brings me back to that post that he made in response to her saying Happy Father's Day to her mother, which he wouldn't have even known about if he wasn't on her page. So he should have been minding his own business anyways. But anyways, That post that he made, like I said, he didn't have a right to make that if you're the reason why your relationship with your kids isn't the trash to begin with. But like a lot of abusive parents, and abusive fathers especially, he had to play the victim. He had to pull the victim card, try to garner support for himself and make them look like I said, spoiled brats that were ungrateful, that took him for granted, when it was him, allegedly, the entire time. And one more thing that bothered me about this, while I'm on my way out the door concerning this subject, it seemed like to me that he almost had this attitude, or I'm getting these vibes where he's mad that, like I said, he seems to be losing it all. And he feels like, well, if I'm losing it all, y'all about to lose some stuff too, which is part of the reason why he cut her off, other than just, like I said, being an abusive parent, allegedly. And I'm also getting these vibes where he has this toxic mentality that a lot of toxic parents have, a lot of abusive parents have, where they feel like, well, you know what, I had to struggle getting to where, I wanted to go. Why shouldn't you have to struggle? Like, no, they can't make things a little bit better for their children because they love their children, and they don't have to struggle to be grateful, okay? Like, you can raise grateful children without making them struggle. You should want it to be a little bit easier on them, for them to not have to go through the trauma and the hardship that you went through. But because he had to, maybe, or there's some things that he had to go through, he wants them to go through too. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of vibes that I'm getting from this situation. I could be very wrong, and I'll even add an allegedly on that, but that's what I'm getting, to be completely honest with y'all. But anyways, this was really sad, y'all. I was really saddened and upset and disturbed when they were talking about all of what he put them through, especially, like I said, when her daughter Ming got on the internet and was in tears, breaking down, explaining to people. And it's sad that they even have to do that because, like I said, some people will believe some random dude on the internet who they don't even know, before they believe that this person is capable of any wrong. But it was just sad that they had to get on there and even do that to get people to, see what was going on. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all thinking, how y'all feel down in the comments below. Respectfully, don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day.